Hello, everyone. Finally, for some good news. After a 40 days and 40 nights trial on June 25th, 2020, the goddess of beauty and love finally turns direct at 5 degrees in Gemini. Now, June 25th, 2020, Venus stations and goes direct on the 29th, which means from 25th to 29th, it's pausing at one place, it's stationing. Nevertheless, the direction is direct. And on 29th, it starts traversing directly and remains so till December 19th, 2021. So we have 18 months. Now, if you've been feeling confused, emotional, divided, torn between different directions, well, now when Venus direct will come with the much needed relief and clarity to your mind. With the mutable, flexible energy of Venus in Gemini, this transit is all about meeting as many new people as possible and connecting with the ones who fascinate you the most. But you have to remember that for the next couple of months, you can do your networking, you can connect, keeping your social distancing in mind for your health, for your safety. Now, be informed about the Venus that known since prehistoric times and visible to the naked eye, though not more than 3 hours after the sunset or 3 hours before the sunrise. The planet Venus is the brightest object in the sky after the sun and the moon. An interesting fact is that Venus rotates from the west to the east, which means that its dawn is in the west instead of the east. Pardon me. An interesting fact is that Venus rotates from the east to the west, which means that its dawn is in the west instead of the east. It also is the slowest moving planet, reflecting perhaps its lazy quality, especially when it goes retrograde. Now, the energies that we receive are so dim that we also start feeling the laziness during the retrogrades, and we need to focus on what's the most important in our life, like the moon. Mood swings do overtake us. Now, Venus is also associated with feelings like the moon, emotions, because Venus also goes through phases like the moon, which is our very nature. And our nature and mood swings also goes in phases in life. So the moon and Venus are two planets that affect our emotions directly, and we tend to go into these phases. So sometimes we are in a good mood, sometimes we are not, sometimes we are tentatively easy, and sometimes we do get anxious. So these are all, if you see, these are like the phases of the moon, the phases of the Venus. Now, our capacity to enjoy life and to be happy has surprisingly little to do with our life experiences, but is largely decided by our intrinsic nature. The Venus principle says much about our capacity to appreciate beauty, to appreciate the world around us and those within it. It shows where and how we get pleasure out of life to a large extent, what we enjoy doing, what gives us joy and makes us happy. The aspects to the Venus always shows how easy we find it to accept life that has to accept whatever the life has dealt to us. Now, the placement of a Venus indicates what steps we need to take to make others happy, and in return, we ourselves also feel happy. So, words like please, pleasing, and pleasure all have the same root and all come under the Venusian umbrella. When considering your Venus of your natal chart or the transiting Venus, ask yourself what gives you pleasure? What makes you excited and aroused? What makes it worth getting out of bed in the morning? There are two literary critics whom I admire hell of a lot, and at times I pick up what they have said. One is Cyril Connolly and one is S.A. Graffio. and I really admire their works. And whatever they have remarked in their literary findings, they could not be more nearer to the truth. They remarked that all charming people have something to conceal, usually their total dependence on the appreciation of others. So we always, 100%, all of us do seek that appreciation, but we never admit it that we seek appreciation, and that's what makes us go. Whereas Graffio said, he remarked a little more appropriately, and he says that when you feel bad about yourself, you are reversing your magnet and repelling people. So you need to feel good about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, your magnetic appeal will be so beautiful that in return you will attract the goodness from the people. But if you feel bad about yourself, you are reversing your good magnet and you're repelling people. Now, during this period of Venus, when it is going direct from June 25th, it urges us to shed our old baggage, build faith in our own potentials, and look towards manifesting our deepest desires. Connecting with people and exuding our charm, that should be the trend. Trusting your inner beings is the key to your abundance in life. Why am I telling you all this about the planet Venus? Because it is important to know what exactly the planet does to us, especially when it goes direct. A little more about the Venus planet, that it is actually known as the Cosmic Peacemaker. Now, the psychology to be associated with Venus can result in either war or peace, depending on your own energies. On one hand, the astrological Venus describes the urge for harmony and peace and our ability or inability to achieve this. In Venus direct mode, we find points of agreement and similarity. We are prepared to give in. We can equalize and balance and be willing to yield in return. There is an urge to reciprocate and cooperate with others. While it is retrograde, it is the other way around. But when it goes direct, the urge to reciprocate, you're ready to reciprocate with people. Now, the principle of cooperation is the key to the planet and also to the success of all relationships. Moreover, greater potential for peace comes with equality, as arguably so does your happiness. Remember the civilizing effect. Venus direct endorses the fact that the more civilized an individual or a society is, the less likely they are to engage in war or other kinds of dispute. So manners and courtesy are of paramount importance during when the Venus is direct, and they're distinctly Venusian attributes and are characteristics of our civilized behavior. They need to be liked. The need to be liked and loved civilizes people by knocking off the raw edges in their behavior. So coarse and discourteous behaviors is decidedly an anti-Venusian. Polite civil behavior increases the good feelings between people, minimizes the discord, and during this time, you can actually maximize the chances for the agreements to be made. So your deals, your business deals can come through. Because your politeness is what is going to win people over. So you can be aggressive, you can be firm, but it has to be laced with politeness. Now, Venus affects your finances too. Look into your finances and think of giving vent to your creative instincts as it may eventually generate money. How we spend our money? Are we enjoying our money? Since Venus is the ruler of the second house, it marks as a strong indicator of our earnings and spending potential. When we are in love, we value the other person and to some extent find them very beautiful. That's why they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Now, beauty is indeed in the eyes of the beholder. When we are also well paid, we feel valued and we value ourselves more because it's like a sense of worth. Now, when an individual is depressed, spending money often lifts the spirits, at least temporarily. It's like a therapy. Venus is a planet to associate with equality and inequality, and perceived inequality in terms of our looks, our income, and our ability to attract love can, as we have seen, stir up feelings of jealousy and in turn conflict. Venus, the planet, probably, or I would say literally, has rulership over magnetism in the physical sense, as Venus concerns itself with the principle of attraction, while this planet symbolizes the positive and negative poles of a magnet. Now, Venus is going direct in Gemini. It was retrograde also in Gemini, but it goes direct also from the Gemini. So when Venus goes direct in Gemini, you could attract others with your speed or agility of thought, your conversation, or simply by being difficult to pin down. Often there is a gift for language. Your communication skills would create an impact. Now, by putting others at ease and communicating tactfully, you could probably succeed in all your endeavors. Think about your education, as learnings are and can open up new vistas of earnings for you. In relationships, you may get attracted to those who have either looks or their money, and if both are there, then it is like the golden gate for you. As Venus in Gemini gives an individual a taste of flirtatiousness, for some of you might experience difficulty in juggling several love interests and multifarious social commitments at the same time. However, make sure you are not all talk and no action. In other words, you can be elusive lovers, always beckoning and teasing, but with no real intention of delivering. Commonly, you don't want to commit yourself because you know how easily bored you can become. You may just like to play games with lovers and friends and keep both emotional and social situations really turn off for some. So, however, you need to understand that don't keep your emotional and social situations light, because in fact emotionality can be so much of a turn off for some people. So being mushy and being very serious about it, it's a strict no. Be friendly, test the waters. The commitment can come later on when a Venus is in a different sign, like for example the sign after Gemini, that is the Cancer. You may also, on some level, often seek someone you can learn from. Now, this is a perfect period to indulge in some networking. New relationships can be formed, which give impetus to your career or business. The only way the world can change is when individuals change themselves. And when Venus goes direct, it's a period of transforming into the person who you want to project to be. A little bit more about understanding Venus. Now, Venus, the astrophysical resonances of Venus governs the heart bioenergy center, that is your heart chakra, and the thymus, which is the neurological control center for the immune system. The heart chakra is a center of intuitive knowing, magnetic attraction, and receptivity to the life experience. Now, our heart resonates, or it defines the nature of what we allow into our lives. The more we radiate a clear, open, and truthful heart resonance, the clearer our force of attraction becomes, thus naturally drawing into our lives that which fulfills your heart's passion. Now, the heart chakra and thymus, they resonate to the emotional tone of fear. It is fear that shuts the heart down and causes all immune related problems as well as conditions of lack and need. We defend our fear. Have you ever realized we defend our fear with judgment, which is the wall that keeps us separate from being or from feeling fully fulfilled? Now, non-verbal subtle messages from the world around us express through this magnetic domain, and this means we perceive them through our intrinsic cardiac nervous system. That means our magnetic, or what is the magnetism domain of ours? A sync of your mind and your heart. So it is intrinsic cardiac nervous system, which we see it as ICNS. Now, the heart's cardio-neurological system is equally as important, if not more so, than the cerebral brain in our heads. The heart is literally a brain, and its magnetic field is far greater in strength than that of a cerebral brain and extends beyond the body. The ICNS governs our intuitive capacity and related perceptual states, how we simply know without reason. To function from your heart's cardio-neurological center is what it means to be heart-centered. To attune to and trust in the impulses received by the heart is essential to experience your inner peace and harmony. It's actually sometimes known as inner engineering also. And thus, to become magnetically receptive rather than intellectually defensive to life experience. To do so, we need to quieten the chatter in our minds, which continually analyzes opposites, creates emotional discord, and drowns out subtle forms of communication occurring in the magnetic domain, and to place attention upon the heart, to be open and receptive, and to breathe the magnetic forces of nature. Now, the ICNS receives input from other organs in our body as well as sensory input from the external world, and it communicates this information to our cerebral brain, just as the cerebral brain distributes instructional information throughout the body. Now, these two systems are in constant communication, and bringing them into trance coherence or resonating in harmony together, allowing us to function from the integrated heart and mind and in masculine feminine equipoise. Venus rules your heart chakra. So Venus and the heart chakra, when mature and clear, expresses a non-judgmental compassion, the unconditional acceptance of all conditions. The mature Venus, especially when it is going direct, is open to new experiences, is very courageous, optimistic, and aware of the soul intent and purpose. Mature Venus is very sociable, fashionable, artistic, good-willed, benevolent, diplomatic, and magnetically passionate and sensuous, with an appreciation for your beauty, love, romance, and your sexual rapture. The placement of Venus in the astrological chart reveals the nature of that which we value. Influences wealth and resources in our lives, and she can play an influential role in financial matters and the flow of money. Within this shift from evening to morning star and back again, Venus vanishes for short periods and it remains invisible. These distinct changes in Venus cycle also change the quality of her energy, with Venus as morning star known as Lucifer and Venus as the evening star known as Hesperus. So this was all about Venus. And now in my second video, which follows along with it, which is, I would say, part 2, I would be telling y'all how Venus direct is going to affect each house or zodiac. Stay blessed.